Hello. It's Thursday, and normally we'd be doing a live stream and an interview with someone that's from the industry potentially. But since we've been moving, and since Ken and I, Ken and the team, I should say, we had a bit of a strategy meeting today. I thought, why not get Ken on and let's talk a little bit about running a business, starting a business, and some of the trials and tribulations of being a business owner. So, Ken. We'll just wait for a few more people to get on because they're pretty slow on the uptake sometimes. But while we're waiting, why don't you tell everyone about yourself and a bit about Drift School?
Okay. Obviously, my name's Ken, and I own Drift School WA. And I started it because I wanted to run my own business. I didn't want to work for anyone anymore. And I've just been into drifting for like 17 years. But it just seemed like the natural thing to do, but it wasn't my my plan from the beginning since I was like a kid or anything.
Yep.
It just like I didn't even actually think of it because I left my last job that I was working for a car sales place.
Yep.
And it wasn't like the natural train of thought straight away.
Yeah, sure.
To just be like, I'm gonna just start a drift school.
Yeah.
I was looking for lots of things. I was trying to think of things of how I can make my own income and run my own business, but yeah, surprisingly, this wasn't it. But then I don't know what it was, but it all just was like, I like drifting. I want to run my own business.
Yep.
I think I'm pretty good at teaching and being a mentor. So I was just like, yeah, I'll give that a try.
Because it wasn't like there was a drift school that existed before. It's the first and it's really the only drift school in WA. So like, there wasn't really a game plan to take from to go, this is how to establish it, this is that. So how did you transition? Because I actually get this question a lot. So it's a great segue, but how did you transition from, a full-time job with salary and the stability into something that, is probably inherently riskier than most businesses start up because there was no path to where you are today. So how did you transition into full-time doing this full-time?
The main thing I think that maybe a lot of people that get into running their own business might have trouble with is that I didn't spend more than I could afford. I was kind of like lucky that I saved up a lot of money.
Yep.
So I had that big buffer to play with.
Yes.
But I never even, let's say, like, I can't remember what it was that I like saved up, but let's say we had 50K. It didn't mean I just went and spent 50K. I was just like, I will spend as little as I need to
Yep.
achieve the stepping stones.
Yep.
I think that one is what helped me transition because I was just being stingy, I suppose.
Did you go full time? Did you go straight from working straight into it, like full hog, or did you?
Yeah, because I quit my job, so I was working at Toyota selling new cars.
Yes.
And then I just quit.
Yep.
And I was like, I'm just gonna look for something. Like,
yep.
Yeah, I was fine because I knew that I was able to sustain for at least a year.
Yeah.
Or
yep.
more, and actually end up being more because I was just careful with the money.
Yes.
Yeah.
So you managed to string that money along enough to give you enough runway to prove the concept and double down on. So it's interesting because I've always had an entrepreneurial bug. I've always done this. So what actually was the trigger? What made you decide one day to go, I want to start my own business?
I think it was. I can't. It's not an easy one to answer because I'm not really.
Have you always been entrepreneurial?
Well, yeah, because like I've always found ways to get what I want.
Yes.
Like if I want a certain thing, I think a lot of people probably will do the same thing. But like, as soon as I've got something in my mind, I look at every single avenue as to how to get it.
Yes.
So I think there was like a similar thing. I'm like, I want freedom.
Yes. So you just looked for ways that you could achieve freedom, and you didn't see that working for, selling cars was going to get you to that.
Yeah, I don't think that. Well, I guess there's a lot of people that stay in that industry, but for me, that wasn't like the hours are really long as well. So
yes.
It's just like, I think it was 8 to 6 every day.
Yes.
And then 8 till 9 on Wednesdays, and then 8 till 1 on Saturdays.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's not really sustainable, I think, if you're trying to have a bit of freedom.
Yeah. Yeah.
So then I think I compromised with like, even if I don't earn the same amount of money, then at least I'll have like a better lifestyle.
Yes.
So at the moment, I think I've managed to do that.
Yes.
But we always want more because we're greedy humans.
Yes, yeah, that's true. Yeah, 100%.
Yeah. So going back to the whole, like, if I want it, I'll find whatever ways it is. I guess that's where I've come, how I've met you as well.
Yeah, yep, 100%.
What do we need to do better and more, have more freedom?
Yes.
Yeah. So I guess, my online guy is one of those avenues.
So fast forward. So obviously, how long has Drift School been running?
Almost 6 years now. So January 2016.
Okay, so let's
That's 5 years in. Yeah.
So let's like walk through the process. So obviously, you fast forward to today, and it's a pretty well-oiled machine, and it's you got your processes down. But what were some of the challenges what were some of the challenges you faced sort of scaling up and growing, especially because I think people, what they need to appreciate is that, like, you can commend Ken, especially because it wasn't like there was a game plan to attack what he done. It's, there's other experience-based services, but there was no other drift school in WA that could go, oh, actually, I'm just going to copy their model and just do it better. It was like you had to establish that whole network and infrastructure to make it even work. So what were some of the challenges just forging a new cottage industry effectively
because the way it runs now is so different to the first day.
Yes.
And admittedly now, obviously, you get a lot more value. And I think it was like trying to figure out how to give the most amount of value and still make it viable.
Yes.
Because I think with any business owner, that's the balance that you need to have, is to be able to give as much value as possible, make your customers happy, but also, for you to survive and continue doing that.
Yes.
Because if you're doing it and you're like earning nothing out of it, then how do you keep doing it?
Providing service. Yeah.
Yeah. So for us at the beginning, we had one car. So evolving, I guess that was the small struggle, was to evolve from one car, because one car, it was just myself teaching.
Yes.
And then we'll have like a small pool of.
So how many people were you getting into a class when it was just the one?
I could only do 5 at that time to give, because we were also at a different location back then. So now we're at Wanneroo Raceway. Before we were at like the Motorplex in Kwinana. So everything in structure of like the time slot that we got or how long we have there, it's all changed since then. So it's hard to like compare directly. But back then, obviously, we had less tools to provide a better experience.
Yes.
So it was very bare bones. It's just myself and one car and 5 students.
Yep.
So that's where it all started.
So you mentioned that one of the big hurdles was going from 1 to 2 cars, and I suppose one to like other instructors as well. So how did you sort of navigate that? Because scaling was always and is continuing. We're not the end of the journey yet. But going from myself to doing freelance work and starting to take clients on to where we are now, that getting Cam was the single hardest part of that whole process. So what were some of the challenges you faced going from 1 to 2?
That wasn't hard at all, because I had so many friends that are in drifting already.
Yes.
And a lot of my best friends are already drifters, so it's natural that I already had them to come and assist.
Yep. So they just brought their own cars with them, and
no. So at some points I had to get them to help me bring some of their cars, and then I started buying more cars as well and getting them ready.
Yep.
As we grew, because I never bought another car if I didn't need it.
Yep.
Yeah. So that's why I think comes back to the first part where I was saying, like, I only spent what I needed to do. I never went above, because I think that's where people get into a bit of a trap sometimes.
So knowing, because obviously, doing this for 6 years now, you've learned a lot of lessons along the way, right? So if you went back in time, like, what would you, knowing what you know now about business, especially, like, would you have done anything different that would have put you...
Maybe not make the cars pink. Because it only just started at the beginning of like, I was just like, oh, that's a cool color, I'll just do that, because I'm like, I wouldn't mind trying a pink car. And then you have one and you're just like, well, it makes kind of sense to like make the second one. And then now I'm like, we're 10 cars deep, and I'm like, oh well. Yeah,
you can't afford to change them all to a different color now.
Yeah.
No, so obviously the pink, but like, what about from a business process standpoint? What lessons have you learned along the way that you kind of wish you'd sort of done in the part, like when you started? Like what would have equipped you better when you left your job, knowing specific things now, what would you equip you better when you first left the job to do this?
As in like just perfect world, as in
ideal world, yeah. Like let's say you had access to all the tools and all the information that you have access to now. What would you have passed back to, yourself 6 years ago? Go look, learn this before you go.
Well, probably the structure of the whole thing, because at the beginning it was just like let's focus more on like longer days with one person, whereas like that's not many people are willing to invest a lump sum of money as opposed to sort of the small bits.
Yes.
So maybe starting off on that would have made me progress quicker.
Yep.
But I don't think there's anything that I would like. I'm not saying I did it perfectly.
Yeah.
Obviously, everyone's got things that could be better, but there's not like one real big thing where I would have been able to like, oh, that would have made that part like heaps easier.
Yeah.
Like there's not really anything like that, because I kind of, it all flowed pretty well.
Yes.
Yeah. And it didn't, it wasn't difficult. Yeah, I don't think it was. There's nothing really I can think of other than the pink car thing.
Yeah, the pink. It's like go to bed and like going, I wish I'd just I wish they were just brown, like it's easy. Because I suppose it's, that's the other thing people don't appreciate of like a business, like especially your business. Because like with what we do, our biggest single cost is labor.
Yeah.
We have subscriptions but you have a lot of deceivingly a lot of consumables and a lot of stuff that when they attend your course and they're like, oh, wow, it's expensive. They don't appreciate all the costs behind the scenes that it goes to running a experience-based business. And I'd imagine it's not even what like yourself. It's like anyone that runs an experience, skydivers and bungee jumpers and, hot air balloons. There's a lot of things.
Yeah, it's all the non-fun things that you like forget about.
Yes.
Like insurance and just fees. It just all adds up.
Yeah,
so it's not even just like, let's say with skydiving. I mean, we don't know. I don't know whether you know much about skydiving.
No, I don't know.
I know nothing. But like, if you just think about like what involves, the only part that a customer sort of like will focus on is like, I'm about to jump out and the parachute's going to fly up. But then obviously there's the instructor's pay. There's the plane fuel. Then there's actually the plane itself, insurance, which they might own, and then insurance, which is like going to be heaps for someone that's jumping out of a plane.
Yep.
And then there's probably like the ground thing, which is like where they meet and do the briefing.
Yes.
So they got to pay for that.
Yeah.
I don't know. There's just so many things. So with drifting or with cars or motorsport, having one car is already expensive enough.
Yeah.
So having like 8 or 10 or whatever is times that by 10.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you got the added layer too. It's not like you can just buy 10 Commodores.
Yeah.
And put them all the same badges on them and go. You've got to like pick the cars as they come up because it's a certain type of car.
Maybe that's like I think that might be different. That might change from person to person.
Yeah.
But obviously, me personally, I'm interested in Japanese import cars.
Yep.
So that's the cars that I'm gonna primarily use. But there's nothing.
You can't buy a fleet of them. You can't buy like 10 of them off the street. And
not really. And then like someone else might go and buy 10 Commodores or 10 Falcons.
Yeah.
But that's if they want to do it like that, that's fine.
Because I suppose when you got a fleet of them, it's the economy of scale comes in. Then they've all got the same components, so you can buy.
Yeah, because like with any sort of business, you've got to be efficient with your costs as well. So sometimes being unique isn't the answer.
Yeah.
Yeah, you've got to balance everything.
Yeah. So do you feel like you've got a good, do you feel like you've got a good balance between, the cost of running, because it's not, we've discussed that, it's not a cheap thing to run, right? The cost of running that. And because where I'm coming from is I speak to a lot of businesses and I look at their business. The first thing I do as an agency or as a marketer is I look at their model and go, is it actually viable or does it actually make sense to drive more business to this company if their model is fundamentally not working? Because you don't want to be throttled. You don't want to, because that's what people don't understand about marketing is a lot of it's just an amplification of what exists already. So like you don't want to generate huge volumes of traffic for a business that's not doesn't have the economies of scale to support it. So like, you mentioned you started with 5. I imagine the second car would have got you to 10 people a track. Have you been able to maintain the economies of scale as you've added? So like, could you hypothetically, if there was a market, add another 10 cars tomorrow and it just scale up?
Nah, because I think that's where, so the early stages, you get this, like the curve is exponential, you just goes up like that. And then obviously I feel like you get to a sort of market standard or average.
Yep.
And I think that's closer to where we are now. So now it's just like those 1% increases are harder to achieve.
Yep.
Whereas the first time, it's like if you're working with 5 students, it's easy to get to 10.
Yeah.
But then, once you get to 20, 40 or 50 or whatever, then it's like, that's where it starts to plateau. And
Yes.
the only way to get more is to really put in the 1%ers.
Yes.
And then that 1% is like, gives you maybe one more customer.
Yeah. That's an interesting, I think people forget that. It's not, it's like I get asked, why don't we have more people on the team? Well, firstly, it's culture, but like also I can't just add 5 more staff and get 5 times the amount of income that we're generating now. It doesn't work. You hit an efficient economy of scale, and then everything past that hits a point of diminishing return.
Yeah.
And it wouldn't be cost effective for us to have 10 staff and 100 clients, because then you lose a lot of what makes the agency good. So I completely understand that. So another question I had is, what, obviously you're in a unique industry, your business is unique in the fact that, you've got a very well orchestrated day, and like everything has to happen perfectly on that day. But what does the rest of the month look like? Obviously, that day is super important, and that's pretty cool. But like, what does the day-to-day look like, for you, given that it's really compressed into one short period?
So just work-wise, or just everything?
Well, work day-to-day, like people, they see a lot of the end result and see the actual drift school, but what are some of the logistics of actually keeping something like this?
I think the main thing, part of it is like the lots of pressure, because we do one day a month. Let's say, for example, sometimes we might do 2 or 3.
Yeah,
like that one day is the only chance we get to get an income.
Yep.
So everything has to be perfect for that day, and so daily challenges involve like making sure that we're driving the customers in, doing all the social media and whatnot.
Yep.
Figuring out the marketing as well with you, and maintaining the cars.
Yep.
We're going to make sure, like I said, having one car is already hard enough to look after. It costs a lot. So having multiple cars to make sure that they're all operating on that day.
Yeah, and like operating at peak efficiency.
Yeah, and then a lot of times it's like going to pick up parts and driving around here and there to do things just to make it all work.
Yeah, it's surprising, like we joke about this sometimes. It's like, you spend, you work one day a month and the rest is just chilling around and doing your thing. But it's amazing how much time just doing all the support takes up in a business. And I always like to ask people that, because there's, sometimes there's days where it's like, actually, you would probably have more free time if you had a lawn mowing around and you had a very clearly defined job.
Yeah, there's less moving parts.
Yeah.
So whereas with this one, it's just like there are so many variables involved in making that one day happen.
Yes.
And not to take anything away from a lawnmower, but like, you've got the booking, and then you go and mow the lawn, and
you do a good job of it. And
so it's like I'd say it's more focused on that what you're doing right there and then. But this one is like, I'm doing this so that I can bring it to there to get that happening.
And there's so many variables too. Like, next thing there's a crash on the Kwinana Freeway and everyone south of the river can't come. Like you can't, at least with lawn mowing, like there's only so many variables that can affect you actually doing your job. Whereas there's literally hundreds of variables that, like next thing, COVID, has COVID affected you guys at all?
We only when we did the big lockdown. So it was only like we couldn't operate for, I think, 2 months.
Yep.
Other than that, it's been fine because we've operated within the limits.
Yeah.
When we've done it according to the...
And you're outdoors as well.
Yep. So according to the rules that were given, we've all operated within those. So it's been fine.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's definitely been industries that have been hit hard. They talk about this K-shaped economy where the businesses that didn't necessarily could operate within the scope of COVID did quite well because there was so much money floating around because of JobKeeper and everything. And then the other part is the businesses that couldn't operate or didn't run efficiently during COVID, and they're struggling. But then because it's K-shaped like that, the economy looks like it's humming along, but there's actually a lot of businesses that are struggling, and there's just a lot of businesses that are doing well, and there's like none really in the middle. You're either doing really well or you're struggling. There's no in between, and it's interesting. I talk to a lot of businesses, and they're either one or the other, and that makes a big difference. So okay, so we logistics during the month, organizing people and answering inquiries. So how many field calls and inquiries would you reckon you field a day, just like requests and stuff from people?
I mean, at least at every hour you'll have a call.
Yes.
And then you'll have multiple emails here and there.
Yep.
But it's hard to pinpoint. It's not consistent. Sometimes you might get smashed with like 10 calls in a row.
Yeah.
Or heaps of emails all in that one go, and this just doesn't end.
Yes.
Or sometimes you can just be like nothing for hours.
Yeah.
So it's just really sporadic, and it's also like you never switch off, because it's not like I just choose to not take them at 9 to 5. Like I'll get a call at 11 p.m. at night and I'll still take it.
Yep.
It's a bit of a weird time to call, but
it's amazing. You're in a customer facing industry too. Like we talk about this a bit, me and a couple of friends around here, they get consistently told by their partners, or this, you should like turn off, but when you're so intertwined, with someone that doesn't own a business, I liken it to like, okay, well, if I told you it's 5 o'clock, so that $500 bundle of money that's sitting there, don't look at it, just walk straight past it. It's pretty hard to do, and it's even harder for a business because you can't just consistently walk past that every time. So it's impossible to turn off, because it's like, when you, for every hour you put into the business, you get $1 return from. It's hard not to go, actually, I want to put in the effort and generate as much income as I can, because you don't know tomorrow whether the income's going to be there. So it's like that's why, there's guys, I have a good friend of ours that he works from like 3 a.m. till like 8 p.m. And I keep telling him, you got to slow down. And he's like, well, how, I don't know if that money's going to be there tomorrow. So I don't want to not go after it, And so people, it's one of the things that if you're going to start your own business, if you're watching, guys, there's several of you on now. Ask some questions. If you've got any questions for Ken or myself, marketing, business related, pop on, say good day, because there's a little chat box there. We can see the chat. But like the people that are watching, like that is the biggest single hurdle you have to overcome, and it comes with time, I suppose. I haven't got it. Is like balancing that work and life, balance. Because it's like, we all say, oh, work life's important, but very few business owners actually have that really like where they can go, it's 5 o'clock.
Yeah, I think it depends on the stage of where your business is at. So if you're like, the abundance of work that you have, or how many customers. I think if you're like, if you have plenty of customers, then obviously that's the point where you can start shutting off, because you're not in that stage of like grinding and trying to like gain more.
Yes.
So I think that's the time where you can definitely be like, I'm shutting off at 5 p.m. But if most businesses are like, you're always trying to grow. And you can't grow unless you just try and take whatever you can get.
Yeah, exactly.
And then I guess it works differently for a lot of people, like certain business owners. Some people value more of their mental health. Mental health, and go, I need to shut off.
Yep.
Some people are like healthy, constantly going.
Yes.
So I guess for me, I'd be like a mix of both.
Yeah, there's like days and stuff where you're like, actually, I just want to shut off and enjoy life.
Yeah.
And then it's days like, well, I've got to roll up my sleeves because there's work to be done, sort of thing.
And then also you are like, for me, I just think of it as like, it's not that bad. Like, how hard is a phone call? Yeah. For me, like obviously some people, like I said, it depends on your condition and how you want to operate. Yeah. But for me, I'm just like, it's not that hard to talk to someone on the phone, so I'll take it. Yeah, it's exactly. Okay. But like, if in that moment I'm just like, it's 11, for example, 11 p.m. and I'm like, I really don't feel like talking, then I feel like it's fair to not answer it. Yeah, of course. Yeah, and then you set the expectation too. It's like if you're fielding phone calls at 11 o'clock every night, you just make it acceptable for people to ping you at that time too. Like there's all that. So we got a message here. So Jimmy, here we go, Mr. Russo. Hello, tandem computer chair drift comp at the end of live stream. It's funny you mentioned that because they're not drifting vehicles, but we got a little bit of a plan of attack with these. So. He wants us to do it with the chairs. Oh, he wants to do it with the chair. Well, look, I haven't been taught chair drifting techniques yet. I was hoping watching your streams would get me a little bit closer to learning how to do that, but just not driving good enough, Jimmy. Hasn't learned anything. Jimmy? How's the laser cutting going, mate? Let us know. I've been watching from the sidelines.
And yeah, it'd be nice to know how that's all going. But another thing that I get asked a lot, well, I observe, and I get asked about it much, but I observe a lot is I'm really big on, as you know, on customer service and like just communication. Now, your business lives and dies by how well you communicate to the customers and stuff like that. What tools do you use to help with the communication side? Like, what's the suite of tools that Drift School uses for comms and customer service
on the day?
Oh no, just in
overall. I think it's like making things simple enough to understand, which is something that's a work in progress, I guess. But drifting is such a complicated sport or activity that I'd say 99% of people don't understand what's going on.
Yes.
Unless, except for the fact that the car is sideways and making some smoke. So I think part of the key point of like explaining and selling the service is making things simple enough to understand what the customer is getting and that they can see that there's value in it. So I think that's very important. And also being able to have instructors as well that can relay this information without making it too hard. And also understanding how each customer learns differently, because everyone learns differently. You either watch or you like to do, or you listen. So it's like you need to establish how each student learns best. So and having that sixth sense, I suppose, or like being able to read people.
Read the field, read the people there, and go. You know, they need to really jump in that car because whatever they're going to learn better off.
So it's all these little 1% things to make things as efficient as possible.
So at the start, you weren't as concerned about that stuff because it was about establishing the business. And
we don't really have a choice because as well, it's just me. So I'm like, well, you can get.
It's like, if you don't learn off me, well, go do the other drift course in town. So how long did it take you? Going back in time. How long did it take you? How long were you dipping into your own pocket before you were actually starting to take a salary from the business or starting to pay yourself with the, what was the tipping point? How long? Because I get asked that a bit. Is like, not everyone has a war chest to dip in, so it's they work part time to keep themselves supplement. But like, how long did it roughly take you to hit that point where you were like, actually, I can make a living, like take an income from this?
I think 6 months into it. Because before that, so I started in January 2016, and halfway through the year, I was like, oh, maybe I should get like a part-time job. So I bought a Camry, which I still have now.
Oh, for Ubering?
Yeah, for Ubering.
Nice.
But then as soon as I bought it, we got busier, like a lot busier.
Yes.
And then I didn't do any Uber. So I was just
I always wondered why you had an Uber. I had a Camry. I was curious.
Well, I like Camrys. It's not because it's just Uber.
But it was it was just an odd, when you first rocked up, obviously you got your car, you got your nice car, you got your drift car as well. But like
the nice car is the Camry.
Luxury wise, but it's it's amazing because I spoke about this last week about burning the boats. This agency didn't take off until I basically quit my part-time job and went, I've got to do this. And there was 1 month, I talked about this in the last stream. There was 1 month where I got like no leads. And I was like, oh my God, I made a huge mistake here. Like I'm going to have to actually, I was actually thinking of using my electric bike to deliver Uber Eats. And I was like, I'm going to have to actually get back to work now. But then when you're backed up into a corner and you have no choice but to make it work, it's amazing how much you can get done and what you can do in that period when you've got, a bit of a hint of desperation about it. It's like, it's either make this work or don't. And that inflection point. And that's what I talked about last week. It's just that you've got to burn. You can't just lean on like stop. We live in a country. Firstly, we live in Australia where there's so many, buffers. Between being actually destitute, and destitute. Sorry, and like and just not being as well off as you are. Like you can, like you said, you can do Uber. There's obviously Centrelink, but you can walk into any fast food joint and go, I want a job flipping burgers, and you're going to get it. There's so many, and that's what I said to Pauline when I left Boakman's. I was like, we either make this work with clients and not just our own stuff. If it doesn't work, I'll go and flip burgers. I'm not too proud to be in there as a 30-year-old flipping burger. I'll still be the best at it. But but yeah, I talk to a lot of people that want to start agencies like this, and they kind of haven't positioned their life to be able to take a hit in income for even a month to be able to give it them enough money and enough time and everything to do it.
Yeah. I don't deal with as many businesses as you, but like I get just thinking along those lines. I would say that like if it's also not your money that's getting lost, like let's say you borrow from the bank or something.
Yes.
I think there's probably like a small element of you not feeling as much
attachment to it.
Yeah, because you're like, man, this money I really need to hold on to it. It's mine. I like
Yes.
earned it. But then like if it's the bank's, like although it's like you're still gonna pay that back and it is, you know, your money after you've borrowed it from them.
Yeah.
Like I think it's just like you still in your brain, there's like one in the back there, you're still sort of thinking like, I don't really care, whatever. I'll just You
deal with it after the fact. If it doesn't work, well, you can deal with the loan when it's becomes. That's a good point. And Paulie and I get it's interesting because I don't have a super flash car, even though at this point we could probably get a nicer car or whatever. I just think that you basically live to a lot of people live to the income they produce, right? And then they want it. They basically there's a lot of people that want to be in your position, at my position, starting their own business and controlling, but they're handcuffed to the income and the lifestyle they've created around the income that they need to produce.
Yeah.
Like we took a huge hit in how much, what we actually take home physically.
Yeah.
But we also spent the year before we left reducing all of our expenses to the point where we could live we worked it out. We could effectively, with a little shortfall, live on Centrelink, but as a family.
Yeah.
That's how much we reduced our expenses so that we could take this shot. And sometimes I hate to say it, but you can't have it both ways. You can't have one foot in one door to maintain a lifestyle and not risk anything to achieve something. So I commend you on that. So were you always pretty good with money and living a pretty frugal lifestyle, or did you plan to do this someday and just positioned yourself to be able to take it?
I think I've always been in that same mindset of not spending more than what is in my bank account.
Yep.
So I never had loans or anything like that. But I'm also really fortunate because I lived at home.
Yeah.
Some people don't have that luxury.
No, that's true. Yeah.
Some people don't get along with parents or they don't have a home to be in. So I think I'm just lucky.
I hate using the term lucky. You just took advantage of the situation you were in, right? I had this again in that same video. I had a huge rant because someone called me lucky the other day.
Oh, yeah.
They were like, "Oh, you're so lucky to have the agency." I was like, there's no luck involved.
Yeah.
There's a whole bunch of it was 10 years of training myself to see opportunity, and it was a whole bunch of hard work mixed with a bit of I suppose luck in the sense that I didn't get hit by a car while I was building this.
Yeah.
But I was always going to give it a good crack.
Yeah, I guess it's not like you sat on your couch and every single offer.
Yeah. It's exactly. It's not like you just walked in the door one day and said, "Oh, Jimmy, shut up and take my money." It was and so it was there was a confluence of several opportunities coming together, and I took advantage of those opportunities when they are presented to me. But it wasn't. It's lucky that you don't get hit by a meteorite. Considering there's thousands that fall out of the sky every day.
Yeah.
It's lucky that you don't have a terminal illness. That is actual genuine luck. Mm-hmm. It's more like you've trained, since a young age. It sounds like you've trained yourself to put yourself in a position to take advantage of an opportunity that rose up like this. If you were, in huge debt, you wouldn't have been able to take advantage of the opportunity that you see. That's I want to start something, and I understand drifting well. I'm going to take advantage of my understanding of drifting and starting a drift school.
Yeah.
So I think that's something that, I want to try. If I can do anything from these interviews is there's very, very few lucky business owners, because most successful businesses are just built on a whole bunch of hard work and then taking advantage of opportunities and being better at seeing opportunities in others. That's what makes a successful business from an unsuccessful one
I guess when you start, you'll, that small little thing that you have as part of your personality will constantly flow on.
Yeah.
And every single choice that you make that goes on from that point is going to have that result.
Yeah,
so I guess it's like a compound of that 1%.
Yeah, because you could have been you probably could have started drift school, but if you were go big or go home, or you had a different mentality towards money, you would have scaled up and burned through that 100K or 50K or whatever, burnt that through that super quick. And then if you had a quiet month or two, game, finishes. So it's like, I think, I try and actively encourage people, because like the best thing we've ever done is start this, even though it's one of the hardest things we've done. It's one of the best things. And I had a pretty successful career in ag and stuff as well, but this is honestly one of the most rewarding, successful things we've done this so far. So I'd always encourage everyone. That's why Jimmy, kudos to him for giving the starting his laser cutting and doing that stuff, because it's not easy to start to just take that leap and start. But I think people don't underestimate the power of hard work, and how much hard work and just through sheer power of will, you can just make things happen. So like there's a lot of people that I know for a fact, there's a lot of people that watch these that are still on the fence about starting their own business or whatever. And that's why I keep trying to get people on to go, if you peel back the actual physical thing we're all doing, there's the same thing there's the same underlying thing that drives, that ties everyone together. And it's just a whole bunch of hard work and good and being able to see opportunity. That's the thing that ties them. So
yeah, and be willing to take that risk, I think.
Yeah.
A lot of people will never, there's a lot of people that won't take a risk.
Yes.
And some people are like that, but I think sometimes you've got to have that calculated risk.
Yeah, calculated risk, exactly. It's not like you just went one day and went, oh, YOLO, I'm just gonna start this. It's you gave up a steady job to pursue something, but like in the back of your mind, even if it wasn't consciously, you kind of knew that you wouldn't, if the opportunity was there, you would give it a good crack. And so that mitigates a huge amount of the risk than just one day walking to your boss and going, oh, stuff you, I'm doing my own thing. And then you're forced to come up with something. It's, very few businesses start like that. They're some of the best businesses though. Like, like the Facebooks and stuff of the world that were just like, no, stuff it. I'm just going to create they're some of the best businesses, but like most businesses started on calculated risk. They go, I've got the skills to be, they're working for someone else and they're like, well, why am I doing this for this guy? When I know how to do all this, I'm just going to start my own business and hope that me being really good at it will carry me through or whatever. Yeah. And then you learn that, it's like building the parachute, or building the parachute as you're jumping out of the plane. You learn the rest as you go, and hopefully you just don't hit the ground before you deploy. But it's funny. It's funny that luck thing. It always plays. I hear it a lot, and it's my like bugbear. It's like, it's luck is just the word used for people that can't see opportunity in that thing. So getting back to let's get back to drift school. We got a bit deep there for a sec, but like get back to drift school. You obviously you're strong on brand. Drift school, like everything is branded. Everything is there's method to the branding. How did you get those first how did you get from having like no presence, no no engagement to being quite reasonably well known in Western Australia?
I think social media, because compared to now, so I think social media was easier to get reach back then, like 5 years ago. Like it was particularly easy because like if I type something or make a post compared to now, back then it's just like the reach or like the amount of people that see it on their feed was way more.
Yes.
But now I think it's a lot harder because you have to sort of pay
to play.
Pay to play pretty much. So I think that's one of the biggest reasons why I was able to get that branding out.
Yep.
But I'd say for like now.
Did you have much experience with social media before?
Just my own personal use.
Yeah.
So like, and also I guess from making posts and obviously making it intriguing enough for people to look at it.
Yep.
I think it comes from like a sales background, because you need to know what does a customer want?
Yes.
Yeah, so it's just like, and that the basic things of like having good images, everything just has to be professionally done.
Yep.
But if you just did one where you just like you did a logo and it was out of like Microsoft Paint.
Yes.
Or like you did like some car picture.
Yeah.
And it was like just from a potato camera or something. But you're like, I don't know. There's just a couple of things that might not be like basic knowledge to everyone, but for me, obviously, that this is what you want to see when you open up ads as well.
Yeah.
Clear imaging, everything looks pro.
Yep.
I think, maybe having that knowledge. I guess knowledge is power. So
do you think the brand helped you get to where you are today?
Like where Driscoll is. I
Yeah,
think so. Yeah, because if I had all cars, like if I had 8 cars and they were all multicolored, and it wasn't stick it up, then I think it will be less appealing.
Yes.
So a lot of it has got to do with having a professional look. It's like turning up to I don't know whether interviews even have suits. People wear suits, but like, you know, it's just like
I don't think anyone here wore a suit.
No, but like I think there's like a couple of criteria when you go up. You need to be presentable. It's your first impression is very important.
Yes.
You know, and it's also like, let's say resumes. People don't use resumes much anymore.
No.
But I think part of it is that satisfying that criteria of putting the time into doing it.
Yes.
Because that already separates you from someone that doesn't do it.
Yeah.
So I guess, having cars that look uniform, having a good presentation, just like anything else that you do in life, I think is very important for first impression.
And an impression that is true to the person that's doing it too, because like, you know, or because you don't wear a suit doesn't mean you don't give off a good impression. It's just like relative to, you know, your personal values and stuff like that.
Like if you run your own business, you should be able to run it how you want. Again, with a balance of meeting the customer's requirements as well as you being comfortable running it.
Yes.
Because if you don't like wearing suits every day, which is like me, I don't even own one.
Yeah.
But, you know, so it doesn't make sense for me to build a business around wearing suits.
Yes.
So it's like, I think you can, if it's your business, you should be able to do it how you want.
Yeah, well, what's the point in having it otherwise? You know, like there's got to be some perks to all the stress and the time, you know, and that.
Yeah, there's lots of things that you need to do that, like, you know, that makes other people happy.
Yes.
Because you just have to, otherwise you're never going to get business.
Yeah.
But there has to be an element of you enjoying and doing it your way.
Yes.
Because everyone that's successful in the world isn't doing it how every other person's doing it.
Exactly.
Like even with Apple and all that, like obviously, or McDonald's and all that, every single really successful organization has done it their way.
Yes.
So it's just like I guess you're always the step ahead as opposed to someone that is copying.
Yeah, you had taken, g'day DJ as well.
Oh, hello.
Ken in a suit would be funny. I agree.
Thanks, man.
Yeah, and he said there, first impression is the key, and it is what reflects your pride to your customers. If you feel proud, then it should reflect a point into the customers. That is such a good point, DJ. It's something I totally agree with. As you guys can see, I'm pretty big on branding. There's a big flashing sign behind us here. But the reason, even when I'm not, and Ken's the same, it's something I've observed. Even when I'm not at work, I'm still wearing all this stuff. It's because I'm so proud of the brand. I love what it stands for. It's like my badge of honor. So like even if I'm wearing a different shirt, I generally have the hat on, because I will wear the, you know, like, and you're the same. If it's not your Driscoll squad, it's someone else. You know, like it's you know, Pretty Brave Gear, or you know, brands that you support. And I think that's a really good sign of whether you really resonate with the brand you work with, as in like you're an employee of, or your own brand. Is if you're not comfortable when you step out of the doors wearing that brand as a badge of honor when you're out in the street. So like at Bokeman's, when I used to work for Bokeman Machinery, I used to wear the Bokeman gear all the time because it was I was very proud of the brand, and I was very proud of what it stood for. And I think that's a good telltale sign, you know, like if you're not, I remember I went to this digital marketing conference this time 2 years ago, and there was literally 1,000 marketers there. And I was the only one that was wearing a brand shirt. Everyone else was wearing just T-shirts, slacks, and whatever, and that's cool. But I was literally one of 1,000 marketers that had their own branding on themselves. I don't know whether they thought it was like they were too cool for that or they didn't want to advertise. But I was like, no, it's not about advertising. I was just super proud of the brand, and I love the brand. Yeah. See you later. Bye. So I think that's a great point, DJ. I think you know, first impressions is different. You know, the way people perceive other people is different too. So like if you walked into a big corporate meeting and you were wearing a suit, it's different. Yeah. Different. You know, it's horses for courses, and it's the environment you're in as well. But yeah, I think your brand attracts the right type of people that want to deal with that. So like if you were targeting a different demographic, your brand may not work as well, but the demographic you're targeting aligns with that. And then that's why you get the awareness you do. But if you had, where I was getting at is like, if you had started Drift School WA and just went, oh, look, I'm basically going to do what V8 Race Day or something does, or Rally Experience or whatever it does. I'm just going to copy their model and like slap drift cars on it. It probably wouldn't work as well as you go, actually, if I was attending a drift school, this is how I'd want it to be. And like doing your own thing and creating your own brand like that.
I think that would be a mistake if you were trying to do that, because end of the day, if you have enough knowledge of the field that you're doing, then you should know or have a better idea of how it should be crafted.
Yes.
Because if you're just copying, then I guess that's a sign of like not really understanding the industry
or your market,
or exactly what you're doing. So you're kind of blindly just following what seems to work, but is that going to be successful in the long run?
And look, there's a lot of successful people that do that, but even those successful businesses that copy another model put some slight spin on it. It's not just a wholesale, you don't just start Drift School Southwest and go, oh, I'm just going to basically copy exactly what he's doing. Even franchises, they all have subtle differences between each franchisee. And a lot of that is the individual person that's running the franchise.
Well, he'll understand the customers that come in, and he'll have the certain sale for that type of customer. Or, so like if it's a family-based suburb, and then obviously all the special deals are going to go towards more families.
Yeah, exactly. The photos on the website might be him and his kids sort of thing, because it resonates with that brand. Now, do you reckon that having a sales background helped you?
For sure, yeah. Because you understand, social skills is, I think, improved. Because you've met more people. Through when you're selling, because you meet all types of people. And understanding that, how to satisfy the customer's needs. And also getting that information to figure out what the best thing that you can give them as well, or what you can sell them. So it's and then part of sales comes with the branding, because it's like, it's not just one thing. You can't just be good at talking. You got to be good at presentation. Social skills, and so many things all into that one, that one box of sales. So I think it definitely has.
I a lot of the businesses that we speak to, a lot of them have sales. A disproportionate amount of the founders and the owners have sales backgrounds. Because if you're not going to sell your business for yourself, who else is going to sell it for you? You've got to sell it yourself. Now, DJ has said, I'm going to bring this up.
Copying someone else will only get you so far. You have to put your own flavor on it.
Yeah. So exactly, there's no need to reinvent the wheel in most industries. While we're saying there's no tried and true method, there is templates on how, not necessarily from a drifting standpoint, but how to structure a day, how to move the people around, that kind of stuff.
Yeah, you're also kind of silly to not follow a template when it's there. Because just you trying to be stubborn and going, I want to be unique and I want to do it my way. There's also an aspect to that is detrimental to yourself as well. Because when something is let's say McDonald's, when the bread bun goes underneath and then the beef goes on top and then the bread again or whatever, and you're you want to reinvent that because you're stubborn, then that's you just being stupid, because you're why do you put the cheese at the bottom, then the bread and then beef? It just doesn't make sense. Just follow that and then move from there.
Use a different cheese or use a better piece of meat.
Because if you're that stubborn that you're just trying to do it differently because you don't want everyone to say, oh, it looks somewhat similar to that, then you're also you're just wasting your own time as well. So
that is such a great point. I never actually thought about that. Oh, we got another comment here. OG Sensei Ken, can't believe it took so long to come to Nishi D events.
That's he's at Turn 7 Media.
Oh, cool. Very good. Oh, thanks for tuning in and getting the insights from the dojo here. It's surprising, for a guy that's is a reasonably reserved gentleman, he has a lot of insights. That was a good knowledge bomb. I keep telling people I never, I don't look at competitors when I did this, and I genuinely didn't copy, didn't sit there and go, I looked at some of the competitors down the road and go, what are they doing? What I can do better. But I didn't go, I'm just going to flip the agency model on its head. It's it's a tried and true method of running an agency.
There's always a base structure of how something should operate, and Yeah, it doesn't make
No, so that is true, and yeah, I think those people that, like you said, stubbornly just try and force they did, like you said, they just want to have the patty on the outside for the sake of doing it, so they can say they've got something novel and different. Well, firstly, they're leaving money on the table because like that's the tried and true method. McDonald's has flipped a lot of burgers in their time. Why wouldn't you copy them?
Yeah.
What works and then just iterate on it?
Especially when we're on like limited time as well. Like,
yes.
How long do you want to push that unique approach to doing your business?
Yes.
Depending what your priorities are, because we might say that, and then to some people the priority is being unique.
Yes.
So then more power to them doing that. But like for most people, when you start a business, obviously it's income driven and you're trying to make more money. It's like you don't have time to, especially when you're on limited funds. We're not rich.
Yeah.
We're not baller.
No,
we're not.
Like,
don't have that time to really try this, completely new formula.
Yeah.
Or this new burger when it clearly just works like this, and then you can go from there.
Yeah, the risk of ruin's too high. Where you go like, actually, you know what? We're running a drift school, but tomorrow we're gonna put go-karts on the track because no one else is doing it.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, actually, is that because it doesn't work? You don't have the war chest to explain. You don't have the war chest to experiment.
Yeah.
And then when you do have the war chest to experiment, that's when you start to try that stuff. But we've got DJ here. Good fundamentals are key to success. Good basics speak for itself. That's true with everything. That's not just business. That's just life. And then replying to Jimmy, yes. There must be some context that we missed there, but yeah, I think that is you could have gone there and said, oh, actually, we're just going to flip the model on its head and whatever. But that's the difference between theoretical business and practical business, in my opinion, is that if you live in the real world and you're not just you're fully committed and you've got to make it work, it's a highly risky strategy to just go to the market with something completely new and different and just hope the market accepts it, when it's like, actually, drifting as a lessons didn't exist in WA before you started it, but VA race days did, and like rally, the model existed and it works well. You just iterated on it to be a more effective and a more enjoyable experience.
Plus, if you got caught up in this is copying that and that and that, then it's like the whole world is pretty much copying each other.
What new inventions have really come out in the last 20 years? It's all iterations. It's not the 1800s where people were inventing combustion engines and cars and and like transistors and stuff. Pretty much everything that can be invented has pretty much been invented. We're all just creating iterations and better versions of what exists already. And I always tell clients that, especially with ads and websites, as it's like there's no need to reinvent the wheel. Like, well, there's people who spend a lot of money, time, and effort on their ads. Let's look at what they're doing and based on our experience, see what works, and just take the bits that we think will work and then try them. But we don't have to be different. There's 100 plumbers in town or 10 plumbers in town. We don't have to be different. We just have to iterate to make it so it's unique. But we don't have to be like, oh, well, every plumber's doing this, we're going to do this just so we can say we're different. The market doesn't care whether you're different or not.
No, because at the end of the day, if you produce that result,
they're
not going to ask you like, oh, did you do this and this?
Well, you did a handstand while you undid the tap. That's pretty cool.
Like coming back to burgers, it's like you can just go buy bread buns.
Yes.
Or you can. There's a lot of suppliers for it, but you purposely want to go around and go, oh, I got the flour from here. I got the eggs from here, and I put it together, and I mashed it up, and I did it all myself. But I want double the price of every other burger. Everyone's going to tell you like, no, I'm just going.
Yeah, it's still a burger, man. You can get it from Macca's. No, and that's where the value of brand comes into it, because I think that's what's underappreciated about the strength of a brand is that, when you only like in that specific scenario, they're comparing and they're going, well, I can get a burger for this price and I know it's good and stuff. But then, you have a strong brand, then you're actually like, well, I actually want that burger because they make it and like their story or whatever that brand is telling actually drives the value of that product higher, makes the value of that product higher. And, the movie industry is a very good example of that. They talk about actors having stock, like, oh, he's got good stock at the moment because he's been in a couple of good movies. So like the personal brand of that actor is higher, so they can demand more in the market when they're going for
Yeah,
movies.
because I guess sometimes when you get one good movie, then you see them in like 4 more movies after that, like at the cinema straight away. So it doesn't make sense.
I watched a documentary about the making of Super Mario, the Mario Brothers movie,
Oh yeah.
and Tom Hanks was supposed to play in it. But at the time, his stock was really low because he had like a string of 2 bad movies. So they didn't want to cast him because they didn't think he was worth that much. And then in the same year that Super Mario came out, he made Philadelphia, which blew his stock back up. He won an Oscar and everything like that, and his stock went back up. So like, yeah, I think personal brand and branding are one of it's the first thing I noticed when we were like initially talking. I was like, dude, this guy's got really sick branding. And it's a lot easier from a marketing perspective to market a company that has a strong brand than it is to market Joe's Plumbing or Mandra Plumbing's supplies.
Yeah.
If they're like Joe's Plumbing or whatever, it's easier because my personal philosophy is, why would you spend money on a brand that is generic? Because all it takes is someone to just copy that and like piggyback off all the work money you spent. Whereas no one's going to be able to start drift school, Wanneroo or whatever, and piggyback off your brand, because your branding, it's protectable. So yeah, it's something that I tell a lot of people these days now that we're less reliant on hand of mouth, and that's like, we can pick a few people.
Yeah.
It's like, actually, mate, you need to work on your brand before anything else.
Yeah.
Now, one last question. Obviously, this has been going for an hour now. We got some good banter from the chat there, guys. Continue to ask the questions. He's got a little bit of a fan club, old Ken. So if you're on there, the fan club, you've got the fanboys in the chat. But no, obviously, those who know you, they know Katie as well. You guys are a bit of a package and bit of a business power couple. So what's it like running two? Because for those who don't know, Ken's fiance has a group fitness gym in town. Pretty Brave Fitness. If Katie's watching, no doubt she is. But if she's watching, but they're 2 completely different businesses with completely different models. How do you
opposite almost?
Hey? Yeah. They are a lot different. And so how do you guys, when you guys are at home, firstly, how do you guys separate the work and personal life when both of your lives revolve around business? And secondly, do you guys have many like differing opinions about that kind of thing? And how do you
I think it's a bit, I think the businesses that we run are like extensions of ourselves.
Yes.
Because Katie's one is like,
hers is very much an extension.
It's like very much relationship based with the clients or the customers, and it's hard to compare because obviously for her it's like she has to do it, the mental side of it. It has to be how she envisions it. Yeah. But for me, it's totally different because it's like, maybe mine is more sales based.
Yep.
Yeah. So it's a bit more, it's a bit more hard selling.
Yes.
Perhaps. I'm really I've had a hard time sort of like explaining why it's different. But
your business is a little bit more. It's like Katie's is in the purest form is an extension of herself. So like, it's Katie at it's Katie / Pretty Brave Fitness. Whereas it's like, it's Drift School. It's yours is Drift School WA / Ken.
Yeah.
But like you could, if you had the right operator, so someone else could like slot into that, be Ken. Whereas I don't think anyone else could replace Katie in Katie's business, because it's like me. It's like, as much as I've got an awesome team here, and as you know, they do a lot. It's still Jimmy / my online guy.
Yeah, it's how you want to do it.
Yeah, my business is more like Katie's than it is yours.
Yeah.
So like, where I was sort of getting is like, obviously when both your lives revolve around business, and you both have your own hobbies obviously and stuff like that, but business is a big part of both your lives. Do you take time to separate the business from or are they just one? And
I think it just all meshes in together, because like if we need to do it, we just do it, and the other person understands that you need to do it. And it's like, we either have free time or we have to just duck away real quick just to do a call or do a finish an inquiry or whatever.
Yep.
So it's like, I don't think there's never really a problem.
And is there much cross, like, do you help a bit with Katie's business and vice versa?
I tend to help less because because it's a female gym.
Yes.
Like I'd love to help instruct, but
Yeah.
it just doesn't make sense.
Yeah,
because
yeah,
it's a
the
female
creepy,
gym.
creepy guy just cruising around the gym.
Yeah.
Just
Yeah, and she's got a good handle on a lot of it. But like, obviously, if there's any way I can help, then I will help.
yeah,
So like, if there's like a busy V day or something, then I'll be there to try and help. But I'd say she helps me more because every drift school she's there, doing our admin work, signing customers on and whatnot. So
I think it's good that you both have businesses as separate too, because you both have an understanding of what's required to run a business.
Yeah.
So it's not like Katie's sitting there going, oh, you know, Ken's working late, or vice versa. You know, Katie's never home in the morning. You know, it's like you both have an understanding that that's what it takes to run a business. And the reason I brought that up is because I was speaking to someone yesterday whose wife is not involved in the business, and he sees Pauline in this business and goes, oh, you're so lucky to have, you know, it's really nice that you have Pauline in the business, because, you know, like I call Pauline, I'm like, I'm going to have to work late. She understands because she sees everything that's happening. Yeah. And so like, I think sometimes we don't appreciate how lucky it is to have a supporting partner in whatever capacity that is, supporting partner that actually understands what it takes to get a business to work.
Yeah.
And you're the next level, because she is well and truly understands what it takes to a business work as well. So, you know, I just was curious to see if there was much cross there of like, you know, you're sitting at the dinner table having dinner and you're both talking about business and talking about strategies and stuff like that. Does that happen much? You guys like
only when we need to. It's not like a set thing. It's only just when it comes to a situation where something needs to be figured out. Like if I see something that's not going right in my business,
you'll bounce ideas.
Then I'll mention it and just be like, I wonder what I can do here, and then she'll give me ideas, and vice versa. Like if there's something that, you know, we can contribute, then we'll contribute to each other's thing. But for the most part, I think we're both very capable of handling it.
Yeah. Because you had the businesses before you met each other too, eh? Yeah. Or
not sure. I had not. We both started
awesome.
knowing each other.
Yeah. Oh, that's good too, because then you can you know, you've seen them both grow, and you've seen what works, and you're like, well, actually, you know, even though you're not a direct part of Pretty Brave, you still have a very, very good understanding of what works. So when you're talking shop, you know, when you do need to talk shop, you at least have a good understanding of. It wasn't like it was a 15-year-old business when you met her, and then she's like, well, I'm not going to listen to you because, you know, I've done it a long time before you were there. So oh man, I suppose you have to get back to doing whatever you do. What do you?
I reserved this time for you, James.
Oh, I appreciate that. No, and let's talk a little bit about marketing just to end. Obviously, you know, we've been working together for a while now. You know, it's just about been a year, I think. And notwithstanding, not trying to turn this into an ad, but like what I try and encourage people to, because you did where I'm getting at is that you did the marketing for a long time before you really, or you had someone helping you with Facebook. But
I did most of it from the beginning. So like, I was doing everything myself, and it got to a point where I was like, I think I need help now. Because I'm not a professional at this particular
just
department.
Sort of self-taught.
Yeah, everything self-taught, and just doing what I think is right. And at that point, it's like, you know, the plateau that I spoke about at the beginning. I think got to that point, and it's like the only way that I feel like I can keep progressing is to get someone that's pro at this particular job, because my profession is the drifting part.
Yes.
But, you know, marketing I'm okay at, but then it's like you always need someone that is pro in that department. So then that's where I started seeking external help. And then eventually we'll come across you.
Someone across us. No, and it's been good. I think, you know, that's the biggest thing is, you know, the actual tangible work is one thing, you know, like most agencies will do that. But I think it's also just like, even today we had a 2-hour brainstorming session about ways we can a lot of that wasn't even directly related to marketing that we do, just general marketing advice and growth of, you know, just brainstorming growth ideas. I think that's where, you know, if we can get every client to the point where they feel comfortable enough to talk about their weaknesses in their businesses, so we can help, you know, work out where marketing can help, or where just general marketing principles can help the business. So even a lot of that stuff is stuff that you're going to do yourself. It's not even really anything to like we can help with. It's just sometimes it's nice to have a sounding board that's external to the business. That's like, actually, you know, I was thinking of doing this. You know, what do you reckon? Or you know, we throw ideas and it's like, well, that may not work because of the particulars of the industry or whatever. So you know, it's been good. I really enjoy. these talks. And I think if anyone can take anything away from this, I think really I look at someone like Ken and I go, there is a tried and true method. Like anyone can start this agency tomorrow because there is a blueprint to running a successful agency, and a lot of it leans on comms. So like that's the point of difference is obviously the communication and stuff, but like anyone can learn how to do SEO. Anyone can learn how to do what we do. Ken started a business with no blueprint. Like there's a slight blueprint as in like experiences, but like you had to work out how the hell you're going to get the cars on the track, how you're going to get people around them safely, like that. It's not like a race day where there's a tractor follow either. Like you're going sideways. So like, yeah, more power to you, man. I think a lot of people can take a lot of people could pick your brains and really get a good blueprint on how to start a business in a space that maybe isn't as mature as something like this. And as you can tell, it's like positioning yourself to be able to even take advantage of the opportunity, growing it within the means and scaling it within your means, and really just thinking about the approach you're going to take, and then just slowly developing that over time is, because I suppose, did you ever get to the point where, once you started down the path, did you ever get to the point that this was like, oh, it's all too hard, I'm just going to go do something else?
No, because I think that's the merit of doing something that you enjoy.
Yes.
So I think it never, what's that quote where people say that,
you don't work a day in life doing something you enjoy? Yeah,
but I mean, at some point it does get like strenuous, and
yep.
You're like, oh man,
I could be selling cars,
something like that. But like, for the most part, if you have the passion for it, I think having passion, as long as you have passion in everything you do, whether it's flipping burgers or mowing lawns or doing drifting, then it's always going to sort of pay off, because that passion will always.
Yeah, it radiates away from you, doesn't it?
Yeah, and because you have that passion, like I said before, with like, small 1% things keep flowing on, because you have that passion, then you tend to do things, you will learn more because you have the passion to want to be better, and you always want to improve. So there's a lot of things that come from passion. You
don't just go home, at the end of the day and go, man, I'm just going to do something else now. Do you watch a lot of drifting and stuff like that outside of the?
Yeah, because like I do love it. So it's just like, I'm constantly learning, and you're always trying to do better somehow. So I guess it's just part of like.
Do you watch much business stuff, or like do you read many business books or watch much business stuff?
I don't.
No. I know Katie's quite big on that personal growth and stuff, but you're more just going with your feel and just learning as you go and experimenting and things. It's I think you can get caught up in that whole, they call it hopium, where you basically watch Gary Vaynerchuk and you're just like upset, like you get that like G'd up mental attitude towards it, and you try and then start to replicate things that they do. And actually the best lessons learned are as long as you're observant, the best lessons learned are the practical stuff. It's like, well, you did a drift class, a drift school day, and you're like, oh, I'm not going to do that again because that didn't work very well.
I think those things are like, it's to give you that little push.
Yes.
Like obviously some people need more of a push.
Yep.
And some people don't need any. But I guess you got to also realize at the end of the day, they are also a business.
Yes.
They earn money. So although it exactly like you said, you get G'd up, you're hyped up and everything. That's the whole point of it, is to hype you up, because you're obviously being maybe unmotivated.
Yep.
And if whether or not the information that they give you is like the actual business information, they got you up off your chair.
Yeah.
And you did.
That's a good thing.
So you're motivated. So like they're doing their job.
Yes.
Yeah. So if you need that, then it works.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Not everyone's able to just like look at a big pile of Lego bricks and go, I'm just going to build something with that. Some people need instructions, and that's fine too. And there's this, man, that's the thing with business. If there was like a tried and true blueprint on how to build a business that is successful, that person would have more money than know what to do with. But there's no blueprint. And that's what makes it exciting. So now we have one last thing we want to do here. We've got a little challenge. I know Ken's a competitive guy, so I want to try and beat him in something to do with cars. So we're gonna run a little track. We'll turn this around here. Now, something we like to do at My Line Guys, we basically have like if a client has stickers, we like to take their stickers and put them on our fridge. It's starting to get quite busy on there. So let me just turn the lights on.
so that's your starting line.
So you can see the drift school sticker on there. So the goal is to try and get the car as close to the it's a pullback car.
Okay.
Try and get it as close to the drift school sticker as you
How
can.
much do you pull it back? As much as you want.
Well, that's where this is where you're driving. So I'm going to test mine first before I do it.
Mine doesn't. Oh, okay.
Okay, it doesn't have as much inertia as I thought.
That's number 3 at this point.
I'm gonna one.
So you might want to click in halfway.
All right. Ooh, I'm hitting. Hopefully it makes it. We didn't check that. Right, I'm gonna. Oh no!
What a done.
I think you win though.
I did win that one.
Yeah.
Oh.
We made
Why
one.
don't you try it one more
We'll
time?
try it one more time. We'll move it a bit closer. We'll try it a bit closer because I do want to be able to say I'm a better driver than Ken, which is we all know is not true. But where do you sit in the drifting space?
I'm a nobody. I just washed up now.
It's just
Old and no one cares.
You're
No
the
one cares
sensei.
about
Yeah. All right. Let's all right. Go on. All right. Oh no! How did you get yours to go straight?
Compensation.
See, that's experience right there. All right, guys. It's Jimmy here from Old Line Guy. Thank you so much, Ken, for jumping on today. It's been really good. It's nice to just talk business sometimes and not just marketing because you know there's days where I'm like I'm sick of talking about marketing. You know, I do it all the day, so it's nice to talk to other businesses. We got Katie coming on, and when's Katie coming on the show?
24th of June.
24th of June, so we're going to hear the other side of the power couple and her perspective. I feel like it's going to be a little bit more optimistic and a little bit more bubbly than old Ken here, but it's always good to hear the different perspectives of how people got to where they are. So thanks so much for coming on, Ken. Make sure you tune in next Thursday. Thursday? Who do we have on? Oh, yep. So we got a guest coming on next Thursday. They just need to confirm, but tune in next Thursday, and hopefully we'll have the setup here done a little bit better. This was a bit impromptu, but yeah, thanks so much for coming on.
Bye.
Bye.